Guess what? Sunday Sanctuary is produced by a non-profit, which makes perfect sense, right? And it's also quite fun because you never know where the money's going to come from. So this is your invitation to join that fun by supporting this kaupapa and helping to share something you love with even more people looking for soul-nourishing spiritual conversations. It's simple. You can choose between a one-off donation or become a regular supporter and help Sam and I keep making Sunday Sanctuary. To give now, head to our website, sundaysanctuary.nz. Kia ora, and thank you.
Maybe I can find my treasure. There's too much for me to do. Maybe I can find my treasure. Maybe my treasure rests in you.
Sunday Sanctuary with Petra Bagust.
I ngā manu, i ngā reo, mai ngā hau e whā. Ta tū mai nei ki te manga o tēnei rākau whakaruru hau. Tau mai nei ki tēnei kaupapa e papahu atu nei ki a koutou arā ko Sunday Sanctuary. Ko Petra Bagust tēnei e rere ana ngā mihi ki a koutou katoa. To everyone from each corner of this country, come rest on the branch of this sheltered tree. You are welcome to this project, this space, Sunday Sanctuary. I'm Petra Bagust, and I acknowledge all of you. Well, in this episode, Care of Creation, the intro feels even more apt. What are we doing to look after the sheltered trees, the spaces and places in our world? And how does it align with who we are on a spiritual level, our ways of seeing and being in the world? I notice, in fact, in a situation like this, how our vocab can seem quite limited in this context. In English, we talk about looking after nature or looking after the earth in a way that kind of sounds like we aren't also part of it. We aren't on the outside looking down at something that needs our care. So wondering how we can care for creation is certainly valuable. And in this episode, I speak with Ed Walker, Executive Director of Rocha International, a faith-based conservation charity with a presence in over 20 countries around the planet. But first up, producer Sam spent a morning in the mighty Waikato, South Waikato to be precise, with Pauline and Sam Hunt, who are certified organic farmers.
Well, I'm Pauline, and this is Sam, and we are in the beautiful South Waikato, and the region is called Walter, and we're on a dairy farm here.
This is the farm that I grew up on. Oh, right. I was born in Tokoroa. We lived here until I was about 15. I moved off to a different farm, but just held on to this farm and had various managers working here. I wasn't really interested in farming growing up. I couldn't wait to get off the farm and move into the town or the city and do something else. And that's what I did. After school, went and studied music in Hamilton. Met my wife Pauline at a nearby Christian camp, Finlay Park, and we went on an OE. And then when we came back, I sort of realised I needed a job. So I asked my dad if there was some farm work going, just as a sort of a stopgap sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that was nearly 16 years ago now. Yeah.
I grew up in a few different places, but mainly in Te Awamutu. My parents were on a quarter acre kind of section. Always had lots of animals, pets, but never in a farm. Yeah. I do remember when we first sort of thought about going farming and like as this kind of something to do while we were figuring out our lives, basically. I remember thinking, this isn't really my kind of thing. Because, dairy does have this kind of anti-environmental kind of thing with it. And I've always loved the environment, loved animals, so I just thought, it's probably not for me, and how's this going to kind of work, but we'll just see what happens. I think when we were on our OE, we did some woofing. That's when you volunteer on organic farms, and we did it in a couple places, but one place in Croatia wasn't a dairy farm. They had a couple of cows, but they were organic, and it was just inspirational for us, like a completely different style of farming, but they were doing it and it was working for them, and it felt really good. It felt really good, Like, I think that inspired us. But even so, when we came back and we started farming, it was definitely a pipe dream, something that we didn't think would ever really function in the New Zealand dairy system. And we kind of had this dream of living self-sufficiently, but our work as dairy farmers was kind of separate, parallel to that. But when we came here, it was our vet actually who put us in touch with another couple in the area who were certified organic, and she said, I think you should talk to these people because they have a similar kind of philosophy and mindset to you guys, which is, again, like unheard of that a vet would recommend you to an organic farm. So, like,
why is that unheard of?
Because vets do have this kind of probably incorrect kind of, like, a lot of organic farmers don't like vets because they think, they just want to give us antibiotics, and
right.
But that's not true. Some for sure, but like this vet is a case in point. She saw how we wanted to do things, and she wanted to find a way to make that easier for us. And so we went and visited this couple, and it was the first time we saw that organics could work in practice on a dairy farm. The cows looked great. They were happy. It was a beautiful farm, and they were making money as well. It was, they weren't scraping by, and that was all it took for us. We just kind of did it.
What's the size of your cattle herd that you've got here?
So we milk 200.
Okay.
200 cows, which is small these days. And that number's we brought that number down actually from the number that was here.
Which was?
It was about 240.
Okay.
Yeah, 240 conventionally.
And because there's going to be a lot of people that don't know, well, to be a certified organic farm, what does that mean and what does that entail?
Yeah, right. So there's a 3-year conversion process where you begin treating the land organically from day one. Organics on paper is all your inputs scrutinised. Right. Anything that comes through the farm gate has to be checked off and has to be good to go.
It's kind of placing an emphasis on the whole farm functioning as like an ecological whole system, rather than focusing on just how much money can I make from the milk that I produce.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're looking primarily at the soil. It starts at the soil, the microorganisms. How can you nourish those so that they nourish the grass, so that they nourish the cows, so that the cows nourish us? Yeah.
So, because we had a quick chat on the phone earlier this week, and you mentioned that you'd just spent all morning pulling out. What plants were you pulling out?
Blackberry.
Blackberry, yeah. And
Here you go.
like, oh gosh, yeah, your arm is so scratched up. Like, how often do you have those moments where you're out there early morning just like pulling blackberries out of the ground thinking, oh gosh, please someone give me a sprayer right now?
Quite often, to be honest.
Well, it's quite often. For me, it's like, twice a season where I come close to like just,
questioning your choices
a
little.
More than
questioning. We were talking about this just yesterday when we were playing. What keeps us in it? I think we have done it long enough now that we know that the hard work pays off in the future. We know that pulling blackberry from its roots is actually going to deal with the blackberry, whereas a spray, it's going to come back.
Yeah.
And it's going to harm the soil underneath it, all these flow-on effects of using herbicides. Whereas the way we're doing it, it's hard and it takes so much longer. But I think that's a big thing with organics, is that mindset that the methods we use will just take longer. We just have to be more patient. But ultimately, it's going to be beneficial for us and for the environment as well. I think it is still always that long game, long and slow little gains that you get every year. Like every year we're using less fertiliser. Every year we're like, maybe we don't need to do that anymore. Maybe we don't need to give the calves that homeopathic remedy anymore because they seem to be dealing with their worms burden fine or something like that. Just these tiny little things every year, and then now and again we look back and we're like, man, we've come a long way. Like yesterday we were out the back of the farm, and we've been planting trees for years now, and it's only now that we can look around and say, man, we have planted a lot of trees. You can start to see them, because when you put them in the ground they're tiny and it looks like you haven't done anything. But those gains are starting to kind of become apparent, and we're seeing more birds around, and but it's definitely a long, slow gain.
So you mentioned already that the two of you met at a Christian camp. How would you describe the way that your faith ties in to the way that you run the farm?
This is a really big question. We've always been passionate about the environment, I think, even before realising that our faith kind of tied into that. And it's really only recently that we've kind of been trying to figure out, what does this mean for what we believe, and how does it all tie in? And how should that affect the decisions that we make on a daily basis? I think we've come to sort of understand that, like Sam hinted at this before when he was talking about just being in creation is how he worships God. And I also have that where I've gone through times where church is not quite sitting right with me. People are not sitting right, relationships get messy and complicated. And then you go out onto the farm and you kind of get that perspective that as humans we aren't necessarily as much the centre of things as we often think we are. It's a really good, humbling way of realising that there is a bigger picture, that God is really powerful and working in ways that don't require us at all. Like when you see we've got a big block of bush on our farm, it's in a trust, so we can't do anything with it, and it's just glorious. It's really, really amazing. And the ability to just sort of step back and gain a bit of perspective and realise that God has got things under control and we really don't, and that's okay. So that's really, on a personal level, that's really important for me. And I think a lot of it comes down to how can we strike a balance between honouring God and the value that God has given to creation and honouring our place as part of that creation. We're not above that creation. And striking a balance between what benefit can we get out of this land as humans economically, and what value can we give to the land, and how can they kind of work together. And there's this kind of expectation, like I had before I started farming, that we can't keep, that balance doesn't work, that farming and conservation don't go hand in hand, and I really think that they can work together.
Nature is this incredible thing that God has put in place, and he's created these processes. And one thing I've found along this farming journey is that the more I try to mimic those natural processes, the easier it has become for me. From the outside looking in, I look like the laziest farmer, and that's fair. Like I'll be the first to admit I'm probably the laziest farmer I know. But the more you step back and let nature take care of some of those things, the easier it is for you. One example is this looks crazy to other dairy farmers, is that we allow the newborn calves to stay with their mums for a week to 10 days, which it's chaos, it's hard, because you still have to milk those cows, you still got to bring them into the shed, and all the calves, the babies come along. But the upside is the calves get unlimited access to colostrum, which is at the right temperature, and
From their own mother.
and the mum will clean the calves, butt and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And now the calves just, they don't get sick because their immune system is just firing on all cylinders. So
And all that in just the space of about 10 days.
yeah.
In a way that we could never provide for them.
So any sort of smallish plants you can see, that's what we've been busy doing.
Right, yeah.
So when we got here, basically the only trees were those big, those really big established ones.
Oh, got it, yeah.
So
So kind of all down this bank here and through.
yeah, if you look to your left, you can see that's where we started our waterway planting.
Yeah, got it.
And so but you can also see these rows running up the paddock boundaries.
This was pretty early on as well.
This was pretty early on.
Yeah.
That's our most recent waterway section down there. We can see those flaxes starting to
Oh,
pop
yeah,
up.
yeah.
We do a mixture of exotics and natives
Okay. Why is that?
because they actually work together, believe it or not. So the exotics, so we use poplars and willows,
Okay.
alders. They're the trees, they grow up fast.
Yeah.
They provide shade, and the cows love eating that sort of thing, the
Yeah.
leaves. And then the natives growing underneath is like an understory, I guess. Yeah.
Are we jumping out?
Yeah, we'll go for a little. Just to get a feel for the bush.
Yeah.
And Milo's
So is
pretty
this
keen.
the beginning of that little vlog?
Come on, Milo.
Hello.
Not excited.
He's not a small dog.
No, he's powerhouse.
Chunky.
Yeah, so this is a QE2 block.
Uh-huh.
We're allowed to take trees out if they fall over the fence.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, we can't do anything. We can make a track in there, which we've roughly done.
I think Milo's doing that for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Disappeared in there.
But here's a good example, like in Māori culture, kawa is medicine, basically, right? And sometimes at some stages of the year, the cows will just be into this.
Yeah.
They'll just eat as much as they can find.
Which one are you looking for?
Oh, little lady.
There's that pet.
Very special lady.
So, I think definitely my dad instilled a great respect on the cows, 'cause they are our livelihood. And they're just amazing creatures, turning grass into milk and cheese and
Yeah.
all
I
those
think we
great
do
things.
the cheese bit. But yes.
Yeah.
No, they are incredible. And like when you give them kind of space to do their own thing, they're fascinating animals. Like
How so?
they have social structures and
I'll let you stay here.
definitely have like herd orders and leaders. There's leaders in their herd. There's followers.
Is little lady one of the leaders?
Definitely not. No, she's very unique.
Unique how?
I don't know. Some cows just don't mind humans, and she's one of them. Yeah. A lot of cows are not into humans, and they just want to be left to do their thing. And she's a brown cow with a white stripe over her shoulders. She's just over there behind that cow. I could see her before.
The black one with the two pinky attacks?
Yeah.
Yeah,
here
she's
she comes,
walking.
Walking.
Little lady!
Oh,
No, she's
Like
going
she's
for a
being a
fight
bully.
instead. So one of the greatest satisfactions in my whole life is seeing a cow stand in the shade of a tree that you planted
Yeah,
and enjoying that shade
yeah,
where there was no shade before.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And so I think this drives us.
Yeah.
Yeah, creating a better place for the animals. Anyway, we should probably carry on.
So if you were to pack up tomorrow and move to some, let's say, the suburbs of Hamilton, and you've got pretty normal sized kind of suburban section, you know, kind of a bit around the edge that you can turn into a garden, what kind of practices from here would you take with you, and would you try and recreate in your tiny little household yard?
I'm glad you asked this question, because this is like it's easy for us to talk about serving the environment and doing well with the environment, because we live on a farm and we have, you know, it's obviously really relevant for us. Whereas I can understand that for people who don't enjoy planting trees, gardening, which is totally fine, you know, that they might sort of think, oh, what does this mean for me? But it does cross over into urban living for sure. I would love to keep gardening, or, you know, compost and all those recycle, you know, those kind of classic things, but a lot of it comes down to just our perception of how we move through the world and how the choices we make they are connected to the land at some point. You know, we are all dependent on the land to grow us food, just at different distances, I guess. I would want to just try and, how do you...
Try and shrink that distance, do you think?
Yeah, try and shrink that distance, or just be aware of that kind of connection. I guess through your purchasing choices would be a massive one, but I'm not going to say everyone should be buying organic food, because it's not realistic, it's expensive. There's got to be something more that people can do. Yeah. Do you have any ideas? Yeah.
Make insect habitats.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grow and plant flowers.
Yeah. Yeah, support local farmers, I guess, but I think awareness is a huge one, just knowing that we are dependent on this land and we can't just go about in ignorance forever. Yeah.
I love what Sam told me about, that when he'd finished recording, Pauline and Sam expressed the truth, I guess, that not every farmer has to be an organic farmer, and that there's this very spacious, invitational place where you can do something that cares for the planet without signing yourself up to one particular script. But if each of us takes an action, that is going to cumulatively make a difference. It's good. Hey, send this episode to a friend who you think would love to listen. And if you're in a review state of mind, then please leave us a review where you happen to be listening. That would be much appreciated. We are at Sunday Sanctuary NZ if you want to hang out with us on Instagram.
Sunday Sanctuary.
These developers, they need a chill. Knocking down our neighbors for a bigger bill. You can feel the future paying for what we buying now. I don't help as much as I could, at least I'm trying. How? It's never too late, folks. You got time and a great hearse. Oh, you just let the waves know that's too high when they start rising over main roads.
That was a little bit of the Waikato Let the Waves Know by Christoph L. Truento and Lucky Lance. I hope you enjoyed the lyrics. Time now for community life, and we went to you and said, what's one thing you do to care for the earth? And this is what you said. Knit cotton dishcloths that eventually become bathroom cleaners, and then compost when they get too full of holes to be rags. I love that. Recycle almost everything. Member of Zealandia. Volunteer at Nourished for Nil. So good. Grow my own fruit, veggies and herbs. I mean, come on. Anyway, I can't be saying good about every single one, but it is so good. Like, you get your own fruit and veggies and herbs. Anyway, pick up rubbish. So simple, right? Pay a monthly fee to have beehives collecting honey. Reusable nappies. I love that there's an exclamation mark on the end of that, because it does take a little effort. beach cleanups. I love when beaches have buckets available to pick up plastic nearby. That would be good. I often use my pockets. Hybrid car. And last but not least, recycle and observe all nature and beauty. Fall in love with the earth. Thank you for answering our question. So good.
Sunday Sanctuary with Petra Bagust.
Time now for a reflection on communion. For me, communion often feels like a calling back to the story of when Jesus was put on trial and executed, but sat down with his friends for a final supper. And at that meal, he said, "Remember me." So the process of remembering is so amazing. Here is what I would call almost a communion poem. The machine of progress and profit mows down our rainforests, pollutes our waterways and poisons our air, driven all the while by an insatiable hunger. At its heart, human brokenness. From fast fashion to Temu trinkets, from plastic water bottles to careless waste, from burning through oil to dying soil, these sacrifices steadily stack up on the altar to our own convenience. The enormity of our collective appetite is hard to fathom. The weight of the hunger is too great, even the weight of my own. And so I turn once more to a different altar. A simple table with bread and wine. Christ invites me to taste something that truly satisfies, and not just for myself. The invitation is to participate in a kingdom of reversals and disruptions, to join in what he is doing in this world, tasting again the spark of hope, once more in resurrection, the promise of restoration from the one that says, "Behold, I am making all things new." Here is a waiata called Mercy, Mercy Me, the Ecology, by the one and only Marvin Gaye.
All things ain't what they used to be now. Where did all the blue skies go? Poison is the wind that blows from the north and south and east. Whoa, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be now. Oil wasted on the oceans and upon our seas, fish full of mercury. Oh, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be. Radiation underground and in the sky. Animals and birds who live nearby our lives. Oh, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be. What about this overcrowded land? How much more will you from me? Can't you stand that?
I'm about to speak with Ed Walker, who's the Executive Director of A Rocha International. But first, let me read you a piece of an essay by Wendell Berry that he wrote in the 1980s. It's called Feminism, the Body and the Machine. The higher aims of technological progress are money and ease. And this exalted greed for money and ease is disguised and justified by an obscure cultish faith in the future. We do as we do, we say, for the sake of the future, or to make the future better for our children. How we can hope to make a good future by doing badly in the present, we do not say. We cannot think about the future, of course, for the future does not exist. The existence of the future is an article of faith. We can be assured only that if there is to be a future, the good of it is already implicit in the good things of the present. We do not need to plan or devise a world of the future. If we take care of the world of the present, the future will have received full justice from us. A good future is implicit in the soils, forests, grasslands, marshes, deserts, mountains, rivers, lakes and oceans that we have now, and in the good things of human culture that we have now. The only valid futurology available to us is to take care of those things. We have no need to contrive and dabble at the future of the human race. We have the same pressing need that we have always had to love, care for, and teach our children. Tinakwe Ed Walker, welcome to Sunday Sanctuary. It's so lovely to you. No, you're not our first international guest, but you're one of a mere handful.
Thank you very much. Fantastic to be here and a great privilege, so thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. For the listeners who don't know you, as I didn't before I started researching for this, you worked in a humanitarian context in Africa for 10 years. You went home and you intersected with a dude in a park when you were playing with your firstborn child. And that changed the trajectory of your life because you were like, this man who's just come out of prison needs a home. He needs to be supported to stay out of prison. He can't just do this out of thin air. And you started an organisation called Hope into Action. You got an MBE for your work, not because you're so fancy, but because the work actually made a difference, right? So you ended up with how many homes do you have across how many counties in England?
Yeah, I mean, just to unpack that very briefly, I'd worked for 6 years as a humanitarian aid worker in Sudan, and my favourite verses always were from Isaiah 58, which married so clearly to the context I was in. It says, "Isn't this the kind of worship I'm after? To loose the chains of injustice, to set the oppressed free, to provide the poor wanderer shelter, when you see the naked to clothe them, and when you see the hungry to feed him."
So you're saying, because worship is thought of in traditional church contexts as praise and worship. It's a singing. It's singing.
For sure. And for someone, I mean, bear in mind, I went to my first job as a humanitarian aid worker was as a 22-year-old bloke. And I found church really difficult because I still look back on it now and thinking, for a 22-year-old man full of all the energy of, or 18 or 19, sitting in a square foot for an hour and a half, singing songs and listening to someone talk at you, it was a challenge to me. And I almost needed to experience a kind of a Christianity I could relate to and meet other people who were role models I could look up to. So my first boss was an ex-SAS Marine and then a fireman, and he had guns to die for and a moustache bigger than my left thigh. And, I needed those kind of role models. So I suppose it was verses like that were always going to resonate with me because I could relate to that kind of worship when you're there and you see, I mean, at Darfur in the early 2000s, as it is now actually, all of those descriptions, people who are hungry, people who are naked, people who are wandering in the desert, in the sun-scorched land, they were there and your heart just leapt out of your chest as you saw them. No human could not have a sense of humanity or compassion or passion for justice when you saw them. And so a verse like that, which comforts you and says, Ed, you got loads of energy, you struggle in church. Yeah. This is your kind of worship as well. That was just really affirming.
Talk about the transition to A Rocha. You're now in charge of A Rocha International. You're the executive director of A Rocha International. Yep. What is A Rocha trying to achieve by orienting us towards creation from a faith-based perspective?
First of all, we do it out of a sense of obedience because we see a clear biblical mandate to do just that. Second of all, we find it's a form of worship, like we've already discussed. Actually, we become more spiritually alive. We bless God by looking after his creation. If we say we love God and we all know that we're supposed to love God with all our heart, soul and mind, if you're my mother and I'm your son and I say I love you, if you nip off to the shops and when you come back I've trashed all your best paintings, I'm not showing you any love.
Not demonstrating your love in a very constructive way. I would be very upset if you'd slashed all my paintings.
And now you're beginning to empathise probably with how God is feeling about people that on one hand say I love you, on the other hand are trashing his creation. So it's part of our obedience, it's part of our worship, it's part of our love for God. And the final thing is I think we will hear from God. And I think, again, there's a strong biblical mandate. And most of your listeners probably will be able to realise, when I saw that sunset, I just felt a sort of peace or whatever it was. We can relate to some experience of seeing an animal where it's just helped us spiritually or in some way, shape or form. And so we would say God speaks to us through creation as well.
So how... Acknowledging that I feel like God speaks to me through creation all the time. Like I think about the birds this summer. We just had the best bird summer. It was just phenomenally calm, but watching this pair of chicks raise its, a pair of birds raise its pair of chicks was just like so groovy and good for my soul. It just, honestly, I just came home and people were like, how was your summer? I'm like, good. And I watched some birds be raised. Can we talk about the concept there of how wonderful it is to be in nature, how people speak of how healing it is? In the past, we were sent to the seaside to heal. We're now being sent outside in the morning to get morning light in our eyes. Spend time in nature, you'll feel better. Pop your phone down, go for a walk, spend time outside in the evening. With that, no one is doing it perfectly and we're all trashing the earth a bit. How could we get those two things a little closer?
Yeah, I think you've nailed it, really. The first step is to spend a bit more time in nature if you possibly can. And if you can't, create time, be that walking your dog, be that doing a bit more in the garden, be that more deliberate choice of holiday, be that going a bit slower and noticing those chicks, go a bit slower and trying to identify those birds because you're just then connecting a little more deeply. And I don't think we should be surprised that will help us with our health because that's how we were set up to, as Christians, we believe we were created to be in harmony with nature. And the picture we have of heaven, the Garden of Eden, paints that picture for us. So the more we emulate that, the richer we will feel, the more wholesome we will feel. Just a last point I'd say on that is scientists are now backing it up. They've developed, there is a clinical condition now called nature deficit disorder. So they're just affirming that with science, really. With
a fabulous and catchy label.
Yeah.
There's such a thing as forest bathing, I heard recently. I think the Japanese invented it. Go out and bathe in a forest. Brilliant. So that's good for our health, what we've just described. What's good for nature? How might we benefit? How do we engage, do you think? How does A Rocha suggest we engage with caring for and stewarding creation?
Well, I'd encourage you to look at A Rocha because we have lots of ways you can do that. First of all, we have local groups that are just passionate about caring for creation. So you can either join one locally, they're all around the country, or if not, get in touch and why not start one. We'd love to engage with you.
New Zealanders love to start a thing.
Yeah, well, that's great. There's no problem with that because we'd love to work with you to start something new in your area. And I visited someone down in Wellington that was doing a great job on 5 hectares of land.
So what are they doing? What do they do?
They're planting trees. They're removing invasive species. They're making sure there's runoff for the water. They're just.
Is it their land or is it land they just came across that needed love?
Both, actually. It's their land and they're doing it on the local river below their land and in partnership with the local council. So they're serving the council, serving the land, and hopefully building something that will be there for hundreds of years when that forest would regenerate to its climatic situation. So the first thing you can do is join or start a local group. The second thing you can do, if you happen to be going to a church, is to see if you can encourage that church to become what's called an eco-church, where we've got 111 churches around the country that are saying, yes, this is part of our worship, and we're going to do something. Now, that may be putting solar panels on, it may be planting more trees or plants, it may be doing a whole variety of things, but you're going to include it as part of your worship through the assets or the communities that you've got in that church. So that's the second thing. And the third thing is to get down to Raglan. We're looking after 23,000 hectares of land there, and we're sustaining colonies of birds, colonies of penguins, including bitterns, oib chicks, and various other things, and sustaining an entire sort of ecosystem in harmony with the community, with the farmers, working with farmers, not against farmers, working with the local population, getting volunteers, getting young people out to experience it for all the reasons you've identified. So it's absolutely a community, human-based exemplar of how we can work in harmony with our environment.
Have you got a story outside of Raglan where you have seen what some might call magic, what others might call a miracle, take place where people have started caring and tending to the land, and then you're like, wow, didn't see that coming?
Yeah, I mean, all over the world. Where do I begin? So, I mean, one of the special moments for me was going to India and seeing the work we are doing with elephants, with tigers, with leopards, and everything in between, and how we are taking responsibility for a bit of land with the government. It's just a really inspiring few days. I could go on and on. I mean, all over the world, we're doing amazing things. There's a rare owl in Kenya that, were it not for us, would almost certainly be extinct, and then it would only have one habitat site in the entire world. But to protect that one owl, you've got 10,000 hectares of forest and marine life that we are protecting. You could go to Ghana, where there's a forest called the Atiwa Forest. I've been in it. It's the most alive forest I've ever seen. But it's got bauxite in it, and the Chinese are trying to mine it. And were it not for us taking the government to court, that incredible timber and forest full of, and we found species in there which no one else knew existed before we came along. That forest is still intact, thanks to a Rocha. So there are loads of examples.
I like hearing about that, because it's not all just bumblebees and butterflies. It's taking governments to court to protect the land.
Conservation has so many different elements to it, and you may be a real scientist that loves monitoring insects and have a great gift for...
Yeah, nothing against bees and butterflies.
No, exactly. You may have a real gift for kind of the taxonomy and, the detail of that, or you may be an advocate or a lawyer, or you may be someone that really loves animals and just wants to care for a chick. And so you can come at it on so many different ways. One of which is, taking governments to court, taking people to court for breaking injunctions or breaking laws. That's a needed skill in many parts of the world.
What's the element that a Rocha and that, I guess, God brings to this conservation work?
Well, I'd first of all say God can work through anyone, whether they have faith or not. And I certainly don't think we would be saying we are a better conservationist organisation than the one down the road, or God works through us more than the one down the road. But what I think is unique is our ability to integrate what we're doing and articulate it framed in the Christian narrative. So the fact that God created the world, in harmony with science, he wants us to care for it. We haven't done a good job, but also we believe that God's sovereign and he is going to work with us and through us, and wants to work with us and through us to a more sustainable planet or habitat or garden that we've got. And actually that Christ came, he so loved all the world that he wants to join with us in that labour, and he died for it and so forth. So that would be, we'd be able to frame our work in that narrative, that faith narrative, which ends in a hope, because the end of a Christian story is one of hope.
And fear doesn't seem to be a fruitful motivator or nice master. I think every generation has its fear. The Cold War was perhaps one I grew up with. Social media is such a huge part of our landscape, how to navigate it, how to be well. AI is on its way. Climate crisis is added to the pile. So how do we frame taking some action that not only benefits us, but benefits future generations, that benefits the space we all share and live in, that we are deeply connected to?
Yeah, no, listen, I think it's a really important and difficult question, and perhaps some of your listeners will be there saying, I don't believe in climate crisis. And others will be there feeling, I'm actually really anxious about this. And so to the former, I would just say 20 years ago, I met loads of rural farmers in rural Africa, and every single one of them said, because of climate change, ... I can't get the food I once got. And so they knew it like night followed day, because they were impacted by it and because they had a deep knowledge of the land and the climate. And so that would be what I would share as a story to those that are struggling to believe that climate is impacting our planet. To those that are anxious about it, I'd say, yeah, we're all anxious about it, and there's no quick fix on that. And we all want to do more, but we can all do something. And all I would say is action begets hope, and hope begets action.
Oh, it feels like a circle to me.
Well, I mean,
you take some action and you feel slightly hopeful, and then you feel slightly hopeful, so you take another action.
And that's it. And who would have thought 18 years ago that Crystal would have started an organisation that is reaching 111 churches and 23,000 hectares in her backyard, you know, in her local community. But it started, when she started it, she started it with 1 acre, you know, or whatever it was, one first action. And she carried on and she carried on and she carried on. So, and I think the final thing as a Christian I would say is that, you know, God will redeem the world, and we don't know how, we don't know when, but that sense of we're doing this in faith, in partnership with a greater power, with lots of questions around that I won't be able to answer for any of your listeners, but we reach out our hand, we trust we're taking God's, and we move forward in faith.
Yeah. So good. And what is your favourite thing to do outside? What is your practice of being in nature in a way that helps you feel well?
For me, I have a dog. I love running, and so I take him out 5 times a week, and I run, and I don't take a phone with me, so I'm just mindful of the air temperature on my skin. I try and be aware of the noises in the trees. I process my thoughts, and I do it through my local park. I live in a city. But I would say there's a verse which I won't be able to quote exactly, but it says, you know, sometimes God speaks through the land. I've jogged that land for so many years, and I've brought so many problems to that land, and I've resolved many a problem. I've brought many a tear, many an angst, many an anger to that jog, or many just an issue I've had to think through in nature. And God spoke to me. And the last thing I would say is I only found this since I started a Rocha, but when Jesus went out to the wilderness before he started his ministry, he was tended to by the wild animals. And I asked the theologian, does that include rabbits, which in our country are cute things and allowed? And he said, yes, it means untamed animals. And I said, well, when I run, I see rabbits all the time. And I like the thought that through my interaction with rabbits and squirrels, actually God can tend to my soul as I'm running.
That's so fantastic. We have to change that in New Zealand because rabbits are a terrible pest, and they are a blight upon the land. But we could make that birds. Ed Walker, thank you so much, and thanks for the work you do and for taking the time to be away from your own family and your own land.
Real pleasure, and thank you for having me. It's a great privilege.
I really enjoyed how positive Ed Walker is in the face of how much action hasn't yet been taken or could be taken, if you know what I mean. And I feel like the opportunity here, or the invitation, which is a word I love to use, is that we can be really creative about how we would care for creation, how we would activate our own sense of taking care of the whenua now, or conservation, or being ethically oriented. There are so many creative, unique, valid pathways. And if we give ourselves permission to dream almost, or to scheme, or to conceive of it, then we give ourselves the opportunity to, find a way and take an action. I'd love to leave you with a benediction, and we're doing something a little different. It's actually a prayer, and it's called Prayer for Nature by Reverend Walter Rauschenbusch. Oh God, we thank you for this universe, our home, for its vastness and richness, the exuberance of life which fills it and of which we are part. We praise you for the vault of heaven and for the winds, pregnant with blessings, and for the clouds which navigate, and for the constellations there so high. We praise you for the oceans and for the fresh streams, for the endless mountains, the trees, the grass under our feet. We praise you for our senses, to be able to see the moving splendour, to hear the songs of lovers, to smell the beautiful fragrance of spring flowers. Give us, we pray you, a heart that is open to all this joy and all this beauty, and free our souls from the blindness that comes from preoccupation with the things of life and of the shadows of passions, to the point that we no longer see nor hear, not even when the bush at the roadside is afire with the glory of God. Give us a broader sense of communion with all living things, our sisters, to whom you gave this world as a home along with us. We remember with shame that in the past we took advantage of our greater power and used it with unlimited cruelty, so much so that the voice of the earth, which should have arisen to you as a song, was turned into a moan of suffering. May we learn that living things do not live just for us, that they live for themselves and for you, and that they love the sweetness of life as much as we do, and serve you in their place better than we do in ours. When our end arrives and we can no longer make use of this world, and when we have to give way to others, may we leave nothing destroyed by our ambition or deformed by our ignorance, but may we pass along our common heritage more beautiful and more sweet, without having removed from it any of its fertility and joy, and so may our bodies return in peace to the womb of the great Mother who nourished us, and our spirits enjoy perfect life in you.